Stop chasing and watch everything chase you. What if the secret to attracting love, success, and joy lies in letting go? Not trying harder, Carl Jung's wisdom reveals why shifting your energy can transform your life. In this video, we'll dive into Jung's insights on vibrational detachment through the real-life stories of Carla and Natalia, two women who stopped running after approval and started drawing in what truly matters. You'll discover 4 practical steps to live from your authentic power, radiating a magnetic energy that pulls opportunities and connections to you effortlessly. Ever felt exhausted from proving yourself? Stay with us. This could be the moment your life starts to flow. Let's unlock your vibrational power together. Have you ever felt like the harder you try to win someone's love, prove your worth, or chase a dream, the further it slips away? That sinking feeling when you check your phone for a reply that never comes, or pour your heart into a goal, only to feel empty. Carl Jung would say, this isn't just bad luck, it's the trap of chasing, a cycle driven by an unconscious energy of lack. In this chapter, we'll uncover why we run after approval, love, or success, and how this chase is rooted in the shadow of our psyche. As Carl Jung described, through Carla's story, we'll see how chasing keeps us stuck and what it reveals about the wounds we carry. Let's dive into the heart of why we chase and how to break free. Carl Jung taught that our psyche is a complex landscape, shaped by the ego, the conscious mind, and the unconscious shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves we reject or ignore. When we chase something, whether it's a partner's attention, a promotion, or social approval, we're often acting from this shadow, driven by beliefs like, I'm not enough, or I need this to be whole. In his work, The Undiscovered Self, Carl Jung wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Chasing isn't just a habit, it's a signal from your unconscious, revealing wounds that need healing. Let's meet Carla, a 34-year-old graphic designer with a vibrant personality and a life that seems full on the outside. Carla's portfolio is impressive. Her social media sparkles with creativity, and her friends admire her warmth. But beneath the surface, Carla feels like she's running a race. She can't win. In relationships, she's always the one texting first, planning dates, or seeking reassurance. At work, she stays late, tweaking designs to perfection, hoping her boss will notice her effort. Yet, no matter how hard she tries, she feels unseen by her partner, her colleagues, even herself. Carla thought this was just who she is, someone who cares too much. But Carl Jung would say it's not her personality, it's her shadow at work. Growing up, Carla's parents were loving but critical. Her mother would praise her artwork only when it was perfect, saying, "It's good, but you could do better." When Carla shared her dreams of becoming an artist, her father would laugh. "That's cute, but you need a real job." Over time, Carla internalized a belief, "I'm only worthy if I prove myself." This belief, buried in her shadow, became the engine of her chasing. She learned to seek love by being perfect, to earn respect by overworking, to feel safe by controlling outcomes. Carl Jung called this a persona, the mask we wear to fit in, often at the cost of our true self. This persona drives what Carl Jung termed repetition compulsion, where we unconsciously recreate situations that echo old wounds, hoping to resolve them. For Carla, chasing was her way of trying to heal the little girl who felt she wasn't enough. In relationships, she'd choose partners who were emotionally distant, mirroring her parents' conditional love. She'd pour energy into pleasing them, hoping this time they'd see her worth. At work, she'd take on extra projects, not out of passion, but from a fear of being overlooked. Carl Jung's insight was that this isn't random. It's the shadow projecting unmet needs onto the world, creating a cycle of chasing that never fulfills. Let's make this real for you. Have you ever found yourself refreshing your phone, waiting for a text to feel valued? Or maybe you've stayed up late perfecting a project, not because you loved it, but to avoid criticism. These moments are clues to your shadow, the part of you that believes you need to do something to be enough. Carl Jung taught that chasing often stems from early wounds, a parent who dismissed your feelings, a teacher who made you feel small, or a moment when you learned that love or worth was conditional. As a child, you couldn't see that the problem wasn't you. You internalized it. I have to earn my place. This internalization creates a vibration of lack. As the original video described, a subtle energy that radiates from your unconscious. Carl Jung didn't use the term vibration, but he understood that our psyche emits a signal through our actions, emotions, and presence. When Carla texted her partner repeatedly, it wasn't just a text, it was a plea. See me. Choose me. That energy, Carl Jung would say, is a projection of her shadow, broadcasting, "I'm not enough to the world," and the world responds, not to her words or efforts, but to that underlying frequency, often pulling away because it senses a need it can't fill. Carla's wake-up call came during a quiet moment of frustration. After another unanswered text from her partner, she felt the familiar pang of rejection, but instead of sending another message, she paused and asked, "Why am I so afraid of not being chosen?" A memory surfaced, sitting at the dinner table at age 8, waiting for her mother to praise her drawing, only to hear, "Try harder next time." That was the moment Carla realized her chasing wasn't about her partner, it was about the little girl inside. Still trying to prove her worth, Carl Jung would call this the moment the unconscious becomes conscious, a crack in the cycle that opens the door to change. This awareness is the first step to breaking the trap of chasing. Carl Jung taught that by shining a light on the shadow, you begin to see the beliefs driving your actions. For Carla, it meant recognizing that her need to please wasn't a strength, it was a survival strategy from a childhood where love felt earned. She started asking, "Why do I feel I have to chase love? Why am I so afraid of being unseen?" These questions, Carl Jung argued, are the beginning of dismantling the persona and stepping out of repetition compulsion. The trap of chasing isn't just about effort, it's about energy. When you chase from a place of lack, you're sending a signal that pushes away what you want. Carl Jung's insight was that you don't attract by what you do, but by what you are. By facing her shadow, Carla began to see that her worth didn't depend on others' approval. This shift, though small, was the spark of what Carl Jung called individuation, the journey to your true self. In the next chapter, we'll explore how this shift leads to vibrational detachment, and how Carla learned to let go of chasing to let life flow. Stay with us to see how you can step out of this trap. 2. What if the key to attracting what you truly want isn't about doing more, but letting go of the need to control? Carl Jung's wisdom shows that when you stop chasing from a place of lack, you shift your energy to a powerful frequency that draws life to you. This is the essence of what we're calling vibrational detachment, a state of living from your true self, free from the unconscious patterns that keep you running. In this chapter, we'll explore Carl Jung's insights on letting go, how it transforms your inner energy, and how Natalia's story reveals the freedom of releasing the chase. Let's dive deeper into breaking free from the trap we uncovered in Chapter 1. Carl Jung didn't use the term vibrational detachment, but his concept of individuation captures its heart, the journey of moving from an ego-driven life, full of control, and seeking to a life centered in the self, your authentic core, in Psychology and Alchemy. He wrote, "The self is not only the center, but also the whole circumference, embracing both conscious and unconscious. When you chase love, success, or approval, you're often operating from the ego, projecting unhealed wounds from your shadow onto the world." Vibrational detachment, through Carl Jung's lens, is about withdrawing these projections and living from a place of wholeness, where you don't need external validation to feel complete. Let's meet Natalia, a 40-year-old writer who seemed to have rebuilt her life after a toxic relationship that left her drained. On the outside, Natalia was thriving. She meditated daily, journaled about self-love, and shared her journey on a blog that inspired others. Friends saw her as confident, healed, and ready for new connections. But deep down, Natalia felt a familiar tug whenever she met someone new. She'd analyze every text, obsess over silences, and feel a knot in her stomach when a reply didn't come quickly. She thought she'd moved on from her past, but Carl Jung would say her shadow was still at work, whispering, "You're only safe if someone chooses you." Natalia's childhood was marked by unpredictability. Her father was loving but inconsistent, often promising time together only to cancel for work. As a little girl, Natalia learned to wait anxiously for his attention, believing she had to earn it. This wound, buried in her shadow, shaped her adult relationships. Even after years of therapy and self-work, she found herself slipping into old patterns, checking her phone, second-guessing her words, trying to control how others saw her. Carl Jung called this projection, casting unhealed parts of ourselves onto others, expecting them to fill the void we haven't faced. For Natalia, every new connection became a stage to replay her childhood, longing for certainty. Carl Jung's insight was that chasing is a symptom of an unintegrated shadow. In the Red Book, he wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain. To let go, you must face the unconscious beliefs driving your need to chase, like Natalia's fear that she wasn't enough unless someone validated her." Vibrational detachment isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about releasing the ego's grip and trusting your inner self. When you stop projecting your wounds, you stop sending a signal of lack. Instead, you radiate a quiet confidence that Carl Jung described as the self, a state where you're whole, not because of what you have, but because of who you are. Natalia's turning point came during a therapy session that shook her perspective. After describing her anxiety over a new relationship, her therapist asked, "Are you loving this person? Or are you waiting for them to prove you're enough?" The question hit like a lightning bolt. Natalia realized that despite her meditation and journaling, her energy was still begging for confirmation. She wasn't fully present in her connections. She was chasing the safety she'd craved as a child. Carl Jung would call this a moment of awakening, where the unconscious becomes conscious, revealing the true motive behind her actions. This awareness led Natalia to a powerful shift. She began observing her impulses instead of acting on them. When she felt the urge to text her new partner during a silence, she paused and asked, "Am I reaching out from love or from fear?" Often, the answer was fear. Fear of being ignored. Fear of not being enough. Instead of texting, she'd breathe deeply and say to herself, "I am enough. Right now, as I am." This small act, Carl Jung taught, is the beginning of withdrawing projections. By facing her shadow, Natalia started to detach from the need to control outcomes, allowing her energy to shift from lack to presence. Let's bring this to you. Have you ever caught yourself overthinking a text, trying to craft the perfect response to win someone's approval? Or maybe you've pushed yourself to perform at work, not out of joy, but to avoid feeling invisible. These are signs of the ego chasing validation, driven by shadow beliefs, like "I need to be chosen to be worthy." Carl Jung's wisdom invites you to pause and ask, what am I really seeking? Whose approval do I think I need? These questions shine a light on the shadow, helping you see the wounds that fuel your chase. For Natalia, vibrational detachment meant letting go of the need to be seen as enough by others. She started practicing small moments of stillness, sitting with her coffee in the morning, noticing her breath instead of her phone. She'd whisper, "I don't need to chase. I am complete." This wasn't just positive thinking. It was a conscious choice to live from herself, not her ego. Carl Jung taught that this shift changes your energy field. When you stop projecting lack, you stop attracting situations that mirror it. Instead, you create space for connections and opportunities that resonate with your true self. This process isn't about shutting down your desires, it's about aligning them with your inner truth. Carl Jung believed that true detachment comes from integrating the shadow, not ignoring it. For Natalia, it meant acknowledging her fear of abandonment without letting it define her. She began to see that her worth didn't depend on a text or a partner's approval, it was already within her. This shift, Carl Jung would say, is the doorway to individuation, living from the self, where your energy radiates wholeness, not need. The beauty of vibrational detachment is its quiet power. When Natalia stopped chasing, she noticed a change in how people responded to her. Friends commented on her newfound calm. Her new partner felt drawn to her ease, not her efforts. Carl Jung would explain this as the self in action, a magnetic energy that doesn't demand but naturally attracts. In the next chapter, we'll explore 4 practical steps to make this shift in your own life. Just as Natalia did, stay with us to learn how to let go and let your true energy shine. What if you could stop chasing and start attracting the life you've always wanted? Simply by shifting your energy, Carl Jung's teachings show that by letting go of the need to control and living from your true self, you can radiate a magnetic frequency that draws in love, opportunities, and joy effortlessly. In this chapter, we'll explore 4 practical steps, inspired by Carl Jung's wisdom, to break free from the cycle of chasing and embrace vibrational detachment. Through Carla's journey, we'll see how these steps transformed her life and how they can transform yours. Let's take the first step toward living from your authentic power. Carl Jung believed that true transformation begins when you make the unconscious conscious, integrating the shadow and aligning with yourself, the core of who you are. The trap of chasing, as we saw in Chapter 1, stems from unconscious wounds that create a vibration of lack, vibrational detachment. Explored in Chapter 2 is about releasing these patterns and living from a place of presence. These 4 steps are designed to help you do just that, blending Carl Jung's psychological insights with actionable practices to shift your energy from neediness to wholeness. Step 1. Notice your chase. The first step is to become aware of when you're chasing, whether it's a text, a promotion, or someone's approval. Pause and observe your actions without judgment. Are you refreshing your phone, hoping for a reply? Overworking to prove your worth? Ask yourself, what am I seeking right now? Write down the moments you catch yourself chasing. Carla, the graphic designer from Chapter 1, started this step by noticing how often she texted her partner first. Driven by a need to feel seen, she jotted down, "I'm texting because I'm afraid he'll forget me." Carl Jung would say, this awareness is key. It shines a light on the shadow, revealing the beliefs fueling your chase. Step 2. Face your shadow. Once you've noticed your chasing, dig deeper into the why. What fear or belief is driving it? Carl Jung taught that the shadow holds unhealed wounds like the belief I'm not enough or I need to be chosen to be worthy. Find a quiet moment. Grab a journal and ask, what am I afraid of if I stop chasing? Be honest. For Carla, the answer was clear. I'm afraid I'll be invisible, like I was as a kid. She wrote about memories of her mother dismissing her efforts, connecting them to her current need to please. Carl Jung called this shadow work, facing the pain you've buried to understand its hold on you. By naming these fears, you begin to loosen their grip. Step 3. Practice presence. Chasing pulls you out of the present, tying your energy to fear or expectation. To shift this, practice being fully here. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes each day for a simple mindfulness exercise. Sit quietly, focus on your breath, and say to yourself, I am enough, right now, as I am. If your mind wanders to worries or what-ifs, gently bring it back. Carla tried this by starting her mornings with a short meditation, repeating, I don't need to chase, I am complete. At first, it felt awkward, but over time, she felt calmer, less driven by the need for validation. Carl Jung taught that presence aligns you with the self, creating an energy that radiates confidence rather than lack. Step 4. Set boundaries. Vibrational detachment means prioritizing your inner truth over external approval. This requires boundaries, saying no to what drains you and yes to what aligns with your authentic self. Reflect on one area of your life where you're overextending to please others. Then, practice a small boundary decline, an extra task at work. Skip a social event that feels heavy, or wait before texting back. Carla set a boundary by not texting her partner during a busy day, choosing to focus on her own creative work instead. To her surprise, he reached out first, drawn to her newfound ease. Carl Jung would say boundaries protect yourself, letting your energy flow from wholeness, not need. Let's ground this in your life. Have you ever felt that urge to check your phone, hoping a message will make you feel secure? Or maybe you've said yes to something that drained you, just to avoid disappointing someone. These are signs you're chasing, driven by shadow beliefs. Each step, noticing your chase, facing your shadow, practicing presence, and setting boundaries, helps you break free. For Carla, these steps were a revelation. She started noticing when she was texting out of fear, journaling about her childhood wounds, meditating to stay present, and saying no to extra work that didn't spark joy. Slowly, she felt a shift. She was no longer begging for validation, but radiating her own worth. Carl Jung believed these practices are transformative because they move you from ego-driven chasing to living from the self. In The Undiscovered Self, he wrote, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. By noticing her patterns, Carla saw how her need to please stemmed from childhood fears. Facing her shadow helped her release the belief that she had to earn love. Practicing presence gave her a sense of inner calm, and setting boundaries freed her to prioritize her own creativity. These small acts changed her energy. She felt lighter, more authentic, and noticed people responding to her with more respect and warmth. These steps aren't about perfection, they're about progress. You don't need to master them overnight. Start small, like Carla did, with one moment of awareness, or one boundary. Carl Jung taught that even small shifts in consciousness can ripple outward, changing your energy field. For Carla, this meant her partner began initiating more, not because she demanded it, but because her energy no longer screamed neediness. At work, she pitched bold designs from a place of confidence, not fear, and her boss took notice. Carl Jung would say, this is the self in action, a magnetic force that attracts what resonates with your truth. Let's make this practical for you. Pick one step to try this week. Maybe it's noticing when you're chasing by keeping a journal for a day, or practicing presence with 5 minutes of deep breathing. If you feel stuck, ask, what's one thing I can say no to that doesn't feel like me? These steps, rooted in Carl Jung's wisdom, help you detach from the vibration of lack and align with your authentic power. In the next chapter, we'll explore how this shift makes you a magnet for the life you're meant to live, just as it did for Carla and Natalia. Stay with us to see how everything starts to flow when you stop chasing. What if the life you've been chasing is already waiting for you? Drawn in by the power of your authentic self, Carl Jung's wisdom teaches that when you stop running after validation and live from your true center, you become a magnet for love, opportunities, and joy. This is the promise of vibrational detachment, shifting your energy from lack to wholeness, so life flows effortlessly toward you. In this chapter, we'll explore how this shift transforms your reality, rooted in Carl Jung's concept of individuation, and how Natalia's story shows the magic of letting go. Let's uncover how everything starts to chase you when you live from yourself. Carl Jung believed that true transformation happens through individuation, the journey of integrating your shadow, releasing the ego's need to control, and embracing your whole self in the undiscovered self. He wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. When you stop chasing, whether it's love, success, or approval, you stop projecting unhealed wounds onto the world. Instead, you radiate the energy of yourself, a quiet, magnetic force that naturally attracts what aligns with your truth. This isn't about forcing outcomes. It's about becoming so aligned with your essence that life responds in kind." Let's return to Natalia, the writer we met in Chapter 2, who struggled to let go of her need for validation after a toxic relationship. Through the steps we explored in Chapter 3, noticing her chase, facing her shadow, practicing presence, and setting boundaries, Natalia began to shift her energy. She stopped obsessing over texts, stopped trying to prove her worth, and started living from a place of inner calm. This wasn't just a mindset change, it was a transformation in her energy field. Carl Jung would say she was moving toward individuation, aligning with herself, and releasing the ego's grip on control. Natalia's breakthrough came in a moment of quiet courage. One evening, after a week of practicing presence, she went on a date without her usual anxiety. Instead of overanalyzing her date's words or worrying about being enough, she focused on being present, listening, laughing, and sharing without expecting anything in return. To her surprise, her date opened up in a way she hadn't experienced before, drawn to her ease and authenticity. Later, he texted, "I felt so comfortable with you tonight." Carl Jung would call this the power of the self. When you live from your center, your energy becomes a beacon, attracting connections that resonate with your truth. This shift didn't just change Natalia's relationships, it rippled through her life. At work, she stopped overworking to prove her value. Instead, she pitched a bold new writing project, trusting her intuition rather than seeking approval. Her editor loved it, and the project became one of her most fulfilling. Friends noticed a new lightness in her, saying, "You seem so you." Carl Jung's insight was that when you stop chasing, you stop sending a vibration of lack. Your energy becomes whole, and the world mirrors that wholeness back, bringing people, opportunities, and moments that feel effortless and right. Let's make this real for you. Have you ever noticed how the right opportunities seem to appear when you're not desperately seeking them? Maybe a job offer came when you were confident in your skills, or a meaningful connection sparked when you were just being yourself. This is what Carl Jung meant by individuation, when you integrate your shadow and live from yourself. You don't need to chase because your energy naturally attracts what's meant for you. The vibration of lack driven by fears like, I'm not enough or I need to be chosen fades, replaced by a frequency of presence and authenticity. For Natalia, this meant letting go of the childhood belief that she needed someone's attention to feel safe. By practicing the steps from Chapter 3, she stopped projecting her fear of abandonment onto others. She no longer saw every silence as rejection or every interaction as a test of her worth. Instead, she trusted that what belonged in her life would stay, and what didn't would fall away without pain. Carl Jung taught that this is the essence of the self, a state of inner fullness where you don't need to manipulate or control because you're already complete. This transformation isn't about becoming someone new, it's about returning to who you've always been. Carl Jung wrote in Memories, Dreams, Reflections. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. For Natalia, accepting herself meant embracing both her strength and her vulnerability, her desire for connection and her ability to stand alone. She started writing poetry again, not to impress anyone, but because it made her feel alive. This act of authenticity drew new people into her life, friends who valued her depth, a partner who cherished her presence, and opportunities that aligned with her passion. Let's ground this in your reality. Think of a time when you felt truly at ease with yourself, maybe laughing with friends, creating something you love, or simply sitting in stillness. That's the energy of yourself, free from the need to chase. When Natalia stopped chasing, she didn't just attract a better relationship, she attracted a life that felt like home. Her energy shifted from, I need to, I am. And the world responded. Carl Jung would say, this is individuation in action when you live from your whole self. You become a magnet for what resonates with your truth. This doesn't mean you'll never face challenges or desire anything again. Carl Jung taught that desires are natural, but when they come from the self, rather than the ego, they're rooted in love, not fear. Natalia still wanted love and success, but she no longer needed them to feel whole. She approached relationships with curiosity, not control, and work with passion, not proof. This shift made her energy magnetic, drawing in connections and opportunities that felt effortless because they matched her authentic frequency. The magic of stopping the chase is that it frees you to live fully present. As Carl Jung said, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. When you stop chasing, you awaken to your own power, not the power to control, but the power to be. Natalia's story shows this by letting go of the need to be chosen. She chose herself, and life began to flow. In our final chapter, we'll bring it all together with a roadmap to keep this energy alive, ensuring you stay aligned with your true self. Stay with us to see how you can make this magnetic state a lasting part of your life. You were never meant to chase love, success, or approval. You were born to shine as your true self and let life chase you. Carl Jung's wisdom shows that when you stop running after validation and live from your authentic center, you unlock a magnetic energy that draws everything you're meant for effortlessly. Through Carla and Natalia's stories, we've seen how noticing your chase, facing your shadow, practicing presence, and setting boundaries can shift your vibration from lack to wholeness. Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. That power is already within you, waiting to radiate. So, what's your first step to stop chasing? Will you notice that urge to seek approval? Pause to face your fears? Or set a boundary to honor your truth? Share one step you'll take in the comments below. Your story could inspire someone else to let go and shine. If this video sparked something in you, hit that like button. Share it with a friend ready to live authentically. And subscribe to Jung Psyche Hub. Don't forget to tap the bell for more transformative insights. Stop chasing. Start being. And watch your life flow like never before. Your true self is calling. Answer it today.